I, 24F, and my boyfriend Nathan, 26 male, have been together for 6 years. This year, we traveled to his parents' house for Thanksgiving. For context, Nathan is one of 4 brothers: Alex, single; Jack, married to Jill; Nathan, me, and Luke, married to Millie, with a nearly 2-year-old. Everyone lives out of state except Luke and Millie. Nathan and I have the longest drive at 9 hours. Here's the issue: Nathan's parents, Mary and John, have only 2 guest bedrooms. 3 couples tend to visit at a time, meaning someone has to sleep on an air mattress in between the rooms. The first year I visited, I was told they'd rotate who gets the air mattress to keep it fair. But after 3 years on it, we were told it was now first come, first serve. Nathan's job doesn't allow much holiday time, so we're almost always last to arrive and stuck on the air mattress. While annoying, we understood, it seemed logical. This year was different. Nathan and I got Monday through Thursday off and would arrive first. I talked to Mary about how we were to finally get a bedroom, and she laughed, saying, "Yep, first come, first serve." Millie, who I've grown close to, knew we were thrilled about the prospect of getting a bed this year. She even decided to come early too so we could hang out, and we planned I'd take the twin room, and she'd take the queen. Here's where it gets frustrating. The day we left, I texted Mary our ETA. A few hours later, Millie texted me, saying Luke had spoken with Mary, who mentioned Jack and Jill would get the queen room and Luke and Millie the twin room, leaving Nathan and me on the air mattress again. Luke called Mary out, reminding her of the first come, first serve rule, but she suddenly claimed she never said that and justified her decision because Jack and Jill would be staying an extra day. For context, Jack and Jill were arriving a day later than us, so this reasoning felt like an excuse. When we arrived, Nathan brought up the rule again, but Mary got defensive, claimed she didn't remember ever saying it, and refused to budge. I said several sarcastic comments as I felt this was really unfair. I pointed out rules are rules, until they didn't serve Jill. And that we always do it a certain way until that means Jill has to take the air mattress and she could come up with any justification, but that doesn't make it fair. I even pointed out it's silly for us to now have to board out dogs, and drive 8 hours before anyone else got here just to change the rules now. She had plenty of time to bring this up with our many conversations leading up to this. She became increasingly sassy about the situation, leaving us feeling defeated and, frankly, a little targeted. Ida for speaking up over thinking Mary unfairly changed the rules to suit Jack and Jill, and that we're always stuck with the short end of the stick. Update 1. Later Monday night, Nathan spoke to his mom, and we did get the bed for the one night before Jack and Jill arrived. Initially, it was only offered for us to move the air mattress into the queen bedroom for the night, but Nathan pointed out that we were being made to sleep on an air mattress when a bed was readily available. The next morning, Nathan had to run errands where we used to live before we moved. While he was gone, I washed the sheets and remade the bed, even though Luke and Millie told me I didn't have to wash them, just remake the bed. While everyone in the family is very clean, Mary always insists on washing the sheets between visitors, so I did it out of respect for her preferences. Millie and Luke even offered for us to take their bed, but honestly, it wasn't just about the bed. It was about the promises that were made and then retracted, despite these rules being in place for years. It was also about the gaslighting and the fact that Mary didn't tell us ahead of time, even though there were so many chances to do so. As close friends to Luke and Millie, I didn't want to put them in the position of being uncomfortable on the air mattress either. While I've never had a child myself, I know your body isn't the same afterward, especially your back. We ultimately agreed to move the air mattress into Luke and Millie's room since they had a heater, and it gave us a little bit of privacy. We tried to make the most of the holidays and enjoy our time there despite everything. Later, Mary mentioned plans to get 2 pull-out couches, one for the area between the rooms and one for the twin bedroom. While this was thoughtful, it still didn't address the issue of changing the rules to suit others. Mary has already stated that we'll have a bedroom for Christmas, but if this promise is broken again, we won't stay at their house in the future. Nathan and I have decided that if we don't get a bed for Christmas, we'll stay in a hotel. We're still planning to go because it's Luke and Millie's son's birthday. For Thanksgiving next year, if there isn't enough room, we're staying home. However, Nathan and I are currently planning on getting a house, and Luke and Millie suggested that once we do, we could host Thanksgiving there. They said they'd love to attend, which is exciting because Millie and I are both avid bakers and love cooking. Whenever Millie and I bring dishes to these gatherings, they're barely touched, except by us and our partners. We're also planning to visit Luke and Millie more often. They are considering moving closer to the parents, and when they host holidays in the future, we'll always have a guaranteed space at their home. To address popular questions for info on the last post, Alex, he doesn't come for Thanksgiving. He only saves his days off for Christmas. Also, he has rarely gotten put on an air mattress, only once that I remember, and that was Luke and Millie's wedding. When all 4 brothers used to come for holidays, it was Alex and the twin, editor's note, twin bedroom, Luke, pre-marriage or girlfriend, on the air mattress in that room, Nathan and I in between rooms, and Jack and Jill in the queen hotel. This house is in the middle of nowhere. Closest decent hotel is around 1 hour. The main draw of visiting is everyone, except parents, stay up late all evening playing board games, D&D and drinking. We used to do a drunk gingerbread making contest. As for the distance to a hotel, that would mean missing out on hanging out, and there are no Ubers here. Also, before we moved this year, We didn't stay as many days and didn't mind staying on the air mattress 1, 2, 3 days due to what seemed fair to us. We also were the second closest CPL and just didn't get as much time off, which always made us last. Also, we didn't get a hotel this time after the incident, due to saving up for a house/wedding. We didn't have spare cash floating around. Honestly, y'all know this economy and unexpected expenses. Millie and Luke, the live within the state, barely. It's not feasible for them to stay home or us stay with them. Also, staying with Millie's parents isn't an option. They don't get along and interact due to their child. As Millie believes her child deserves a relationship with his grandma even if she doesn't have a great relationship with her mom. Also, there is no room, Mary. This was completely out of character for Mary. In fact, the only person everyone in the house has an issue with is John. Mary is the one who wants all of their sons home for the holidays and goes out of her way to make sure we'll all attend, usually. Luke does believe the change was due to his dad and their mom was made the messenger. Because the mom is usually a big person on fairness, and mostly have had no issues, other than ones John pushed her into. This was also backed up by John's reaction to hearing we stayed in the room for one night. Before this interaction, Mary is one of 4 people that I've stated I'd take a bullet for, due to her normal kindness, Jack and Jill. Most in the house has had an issue with them. Previous holidays they have thrown a fit due to us voting on where to eat and none of us wanted to go where they chose. So they refused to eat with us. Jill is the main issue of this and similar things happen every time. This year Millie asked if we could play the board game in their room one night as she was on the phone with her sister playing an online game, and we didn't have much room due to the air mattress. Jill stated she wasn't willing to, and either it was in our room or they weren't playing. They are also the reason we have to board the dogs. Their dog is aggressive and with a small child it's not safe. However, if they aren't attending we are allowed to bring our dogs. Update 2. The update is, we broke up 2 weeks before Christmas. After coming back from the holidays, we had a fight. Initially, we decided to work things out, and for a while, things seemed to be improving. He even told me he wanted to propose at Christmas, and together we picked out a ring online. But just before checking out, he sighed and said he wasn't sure about us and wanted to end things. I'll admit it was heartbreaking at the time, but honestly, it was also freeing. Looking back, I think I'd been holding on for too long to a relationship where I was giving up so much of myself just to make it work. Meanwhile, I was the only one working on us. A lot of the comments on my previous post called me a doormat, and while it stung, they weren't wrong. I've been bending over backward for him and his family for years, and this breakup was the wake-up call I needed. After everything, I moved back to Tennessee to stay with friends. And yes, I know it's quick, but I've already met someone new, a guy I really like. Some people might say it's too soon, but I think I checked out of my last relationship long before it ended. While I'm not completely healed from the damage my ex caused, I feel like I'm finally rediscovering myself and what I deserve in a relationship. This Christmas was surprisingly joyful. I spent Christmas Eve with my friends, my new boyfriend, and even got to meet his mom. On Christmas Day, he came with me to meet my family, and it was one of the best holidays I've had in years. But, girl, come on. You're going to go from not being able to stand up for yourself and bending over backwards for a family / your almost fiancé, and we're picking out rings when you say you were already checked out of the relationship, into another relationship? Why are you so scared of being alone? Get some therapy and date yourself. This is the exact situation so many women end up in absive relationships. Left one relationship they were a doormat in, moved and uprooted their lives, then bam, here's this once in a lifetime love bomber who they throw themselves into instead of dealing with all the shit that got them into where they were at the end of their last relationship. Love yourself instead. Everyone is saying it's too soon cause it is. With your clear personality type / flaws, this is going to be another few years of absolute disaster. 1. I've wasted 6 years on this relationship and I deserve a chance to be happy in one, when I choose to be in one. 2. I've regularly been in therapy for 3 years. I'm aware of issues I have and have consistently worked and improved on them. 3. I know exactly what got me in that situation, and we've been on the rocks for 1.5 years. Things became rocky due to me standing up for myself and enforcing boundaries. It was my fault for believing he'd change after he would for a short period of time, which kept me in this cycle. Some things weren't clear to me due to my distance from friends and family, and being stuck in this cycle. It took the cycle ending to truly appreciate how much I had been through unfairly. 4. I do love myself, either in a relationship or not. While often too kind and forgiving a person, I would rather accept that and its consequences sometimes instead of being jaded. I enjoy the type of person I am. 5. I am taking it slow with this guy. I do really like him though, he knows what I've been through and I know his history. I don't believe in rebounds and will only date if I can see a possible future with someone. I did not latch on to the first person who showed any interest. He is giving me space to work through any lingering issues, while we both also want to spend time together. He has gone through something quite similar over a year ago, so he understood what I was going through. And I don't hold back on my stance or feelings on anything around him, because if I scare him off, it wasn't meant to be. I also have a support system this time around to warn me of any red flags or issues I may be overlooking and are willing to step in and speak to me about it. We also have the same goals / outlook on life and want the same things in the future. 6. Your points are valid, and I can see where you are coming from. However, despite me trying to put a good amount of info in a text post, it'll never fully answer enough questions to see the full picture of things. I felt ready to move on quicker than most, but every person and situation is different. Everyone moves on at a different pace. I hope this situation ends well, but no one can ever guarantee that it's a chance I'm willing to take. My ex and I had a perfect relationship for 5 years. I'm not going to hold myself back and fear everything for the chance it may happen again. Now on to second story. Let my desperation for connection spiral into stalking, believing I was just being a nice guy, but ended up terrifying her. I am what you'd probably consider a textbook incel, not necessarily the women-hating type but the stereotypical young fuck-up kind. Socially inept, sexually and socially frustrated, immature, no talents, no friends, no job, barely scraping by, never had a GF yada yada, you get the picture. I'm 21 now but this story is from when I was 19. For some years now, about 5 or so, I've been on a negative trajectory. I started isolating from my friends during the beginning of COVID and never really recovered. I lost touch with all of them and basically lost the ability to connect with people. Safe to say I have no friends anymore, not even acquaintances, not looking to score pity points, just trying to paint the stage. It had been this way for almost 3 years before I began my first year in university. I was optimistic in the beginning thinking that it's a new world, I'd meet plenty of people and I'd have to make some friends along the way. A whole semester had passed and I couldn't even make an acquaintance. I started second semester with a very cynical outlook thinking it's just gonna be like high school all over again. By this time I had really started resenting living. I can't really do justice to just how much I resented my loneliness. However, on the first day, I met a girl. You can see where this is going. She was very forward and clingy right off the bat. That is how I perceived it anyway. I'm not exactly an unbiased source but she just took a type of interest in me that nobody has in years. I appreciated that since I am not good at maintaining relationships, especially new ones. But like I said, I was pretty cynical for my first year so I figured she'll keep this up for about a week and then she'll realize how boring of a person I am and she'll move on and that'd be the end of that. Surprisingly, she stuck around. We almost spent all of our time on campus together. I got to know her more than I've gotten to know anyone else in years and she got to know me more than anyone else in some years. 1 month passed and I was overjoyed that this might actually last. She was asking me to join her classes and grab lunch after class and whatnot. I really can't do justice how much all this meant to me. It had been so long since I've hung out with anyone, let alone someone asking me to hang out with them. This is honestly the happiest and the only happy memory I have in 5 years. Over the course of the next few months, she started asking me to do little favors for her, nothing major, just every now and then. I didn't mind at all. Like I said, she was like the best thing that had ever happened to me. For the first time, I was truly happy. Over time they became more frequent but whatever, I'd do anything for her. I'm not saying this to paint her in a bad light, the importance of this detail will become clear later on. So far, we were only friends really. I've always wanted a girlfriend but I figured she's probably not into me that way which I didn't mind. Beggars can't be choosers. But over time, I started to feel like maybe she was into the idea. Small little cues like calling me cute and asking me if she made me nervous. One time she told me she wanted me to take me somewhere and she walked me to this desolate little pond and told me every time she comes there's people kissing. I thought that was a strong message that she wanted me to kiss her. I was probably going to but a raccoon started chasing her so we had to leave. I didn't really mind though, I wasn't in any rush to get physical. But I saw that event as a sort of pivotal moment in our relationship from where I stopped treating it like a friendship but more so as an innocent mutual crush kind of thing. Looking back, maybe all of this could have been avoided if only I had just clarified my thinking. Regardless, months went by and I fell harder and harder for her. We were talking every day, I'd go as far as to say, we were close friends at the very least. I had never been so happy in my life. I didn't even know it was possible for me to be so happy. I wanted to make it official before the semester ended since we wouldn't see each other during the break as we lived in different cities. But life got in the way and she couldn't meet me. I asked her to stay after the exam so I could tell her but she said she had to go home. I was slightly annoyed since I'd always make time for her regardless of how much it interrupted my schedule but whatever, I didn't want to pressure her and risk scaring her away but I really wasn't excited about the prospect of having to wait 4 months to tell her given I didn't want to do this over text or phone call but I figured we'd probably stay in touch, and I could probably hit the ground running the next time I saw her. I was wrong. We were talking every day and then just like that. Nothing. I waited assuming she was probably busy, but after school ended, I never received any kind of communication from her whatsoever. I figured maybe she doesn't want to annoy me so every now and then I'd text her, she'd give extremely quick conversation ender type replies. The cognitive dissonance drove me insane. I felt like we were close, and now suddenly, it felt like I was some creep trying to slide into her DMs. It drove me insane, truly insane. In my paranoid, hurt state, I rationalized it as her leading me on. That's where the favor thing comes into play. She was always asking me to do things for her, and I did. Even if it severely impacted my schedule, I did it, no questions asked. In that state, I rationalized it as her consciously weaponizing her affection to exploit me. She was a smart girl, smart enough to know that I was desperate, smart enough to know how I'd do anything for someone to care about me. So she made it seem like she did and I'd do whatever to keep that. It all came to a breaking point in the middle of the vacation when I confronted her over text and she seemed rather indifferent to the fact that I was as upset as I was, and then came one of the single, most embarrassing, shameful moments of my life. A full-fledged nice guy meltdown like so many you've seen /nice guys or whatever. I wasn't vulgar about it, but it was the single most pathetic thing I have ever done in my life. Literally from the next day, I wanted to beg for forgiveness. But we weren't on speaking terms. I knew I couldn't just approach her in public and do this, so I kept texting her apologies, which just made things worse. She told me to stop contacting her. I know I should have stopped right then and there, but the guilt was eating me alive. I really didn't want her to hate me. She was the most important thing in the world to me at that moment. I couldn't bear the thought that I'd just become some fake nice guy in her head. I kept texting her apologies after she told me to stop contacting her. It's so dumb looking back. I know now I should have stopped, but I didn't. She kept ignoring me. I waited a couple months till her birthday and I wrote her a card apologizing, to which I also didn't get a reply. And a couple months after that, I wrote an email again apologizing. I cannot rationalize my thinking now. It seems so obviously insane and unstable, but it made so much sense at that moment. The university intervened after that and told me not to contact her in any way. They told me she was scared of me. It ripped my heart to pieces, to think someone who brought so much happiness into my life was afraid of me. That I made her feel that way. When they told me this, I was in disbelief. Now that it's been almost 2 years, obviously she was terrified of me. I was acting like a complete insane person. I never tried to contact her in any way after that. I was completely and utterly devastated that I made her feel that way. For months after, it's all I could think about. A whole paradigm shift occurred in me after that whole incident. I started feeling like a predator. Not predatory, but like everyone around me knew I was a creepy predator looking to prey on them. I can't quite explain it. I was uncomfortable being around people before, but since that whole incident, it's on a totally different level. Whenever I'm in public, I feel like everyone knows I'm a creep. I'm a creepy little predator and everyone knows and everyone hates me. They're all afraid of me. This is particularly true for women. I am deathly afraid of women because I cannot shake the feeling that they're all afraid of me, that they all know I'm a creepy predator trying to get in their pants. My anxiety around women has gotten so bad that I cannot even be around one without wanting to leave immediately. I just cannot for the life of me shake the feeling that they've got 911 dialed in whenever I'm around. More so than anything, I guess, I still feel bad about what I did to that girl. I hate the fact that I will forever be some predatory nice guy who showed his true colors when he realized she wasn't gonna fuck him. I hate it cause that's not how I see it at all. All my happy memories belong to her, and I'll always cherish her for that. I never ever wanted to make her feel any kind of negative way, let alone make her scared of me. Enough time has passed where I don't think about this obsessively like I used to, but I know it's there. It's always there. This immense guilt and regret that the only person that showed some interest in me in years, I punished her for it so bad. I doubt she'll ever try to communicate with some socially maladjusted loser ever again. I feel uncomfortable at the prospect of ever being near anyone else ever again. I resent my solitude, but I cannot risk getting close to anyone without fearing that I'll have a moment like this again and they'll come away afraid, traumatized, and forever regretting ever having met me. It's not rational, I know, but I can't shake the feeling that she hates me with every fiber of her being. Realistically, she's got bigger problems now, but yeah, I'm not looking for pity or you should go to therapy. I just wanted to tell my story cause I don't have anyone else to tell. Hopefully I can leave all this behind someday. ATM, I've never hated my loneliness more, but my desire to be forgotten by the world entirely has never been stronger. I cannot bear the thought of imposing myself on anyone in capacity. I wish I could erase myself from reality and every memory people have of me. I'm back to thinking about this again now cause her birthday is nearby. I pray and hope not a shred of me remains in her head. I just want the whole world to forget me and every ill I've done.